You think you're a good man. You work hard, you provide, you carry the stress so she doesn't have to. You stay loyal, you help out, you show up. You're not perfect, but you've tried. You try harder than most men you know, and the truth is you thought that would be enough. You thought providing would matter. You work your ass off. You carry pressure you don't talk about. You solve problems quietly and she barely even sees it. No recognition, no appreciation, just another thing on the list that she expects you to do. You thought helping around the house would bring you closer. You fold the laundry. You make school lunches. You tidy the kitchen while she's showering. You're not sitting on the couch drinking a beer, ignoring everything. You're in the thick of it. But it's like none of it counts. She seems disappointed, tired, flat. And you'll start thinking, what more am I supposed to freaking do? You thought staying calm would help. You're not the yelling type. You're the steady one. You bite your tongue when she's sharp. You avoid the fights. You try to be peaceful. You're safe. But instead of drawing her in, it feels like you disappeared. Like the more you keep the peace, the less of you she can even feel. You tried opening up. You tried talking, telling her how you feel. But she's better with words. The argument flips. You end up feeling like you're the problem for even having needs. And next time, you just don't even bring it up. Because honesty has cost you more than staying silent. You've given up a lot. Not just affection, not just touch. You gave up space, freedom, direction, little pieces of who you were in exchange for a version of you that you thought would make her happy. But now, you don't even know who that man is anymore. And somehow, despite everything, you still feel unwanted, unseen, unheard, and quietly, slowly, unloved. And you love your wife, not just for who she was, but who she is. She's a good woman, a great mother. She's the best friend you've ever had. You made the right decision when you said, I do. She's not cold, she's not distant, she's right there. She's doing her best, just like you are. But something's missing. At the end of the day, when her giant list of excuses is finally exhausted, when the kids are asleep, the to-do list is done, and she doesn't have a headache for the third night in a row, the stars align and you finally get lucky. But when you finally have sex, you feel it. That quiet thing she hides just under the surface, that part of her that's giving something up to do it. You can't name it, but you can feel it. She's probably become very, very good at hiding it, and you've become very, very good at ignoring it. She goes through the motions, she's believable, but it's not what it used to be. The look after, the empty smile. What feels like forever ago, you would stay plugged together like sweaty puzzle pieces, your eyes locked, like all the answers to all the questions in the world were there. You felt seen, you felt loved, you felt powerful. Now she rolls over quickly, another job, a quick task, maybe checks her phone, maybe rushes to the bathroom. It all looks normal, but underneath you feel it. Maybe not in that moment, but hours later, lying there in the dark, that same ache returns, whispering she didn't want it. She just didn't want to say no. So maybe one night you go online, you search something like how to know if your wife is cheating. Not because you think she is, but because something feels off and you don't know how else to name it. If you haven't done that yet, don't, because the algorithm is going to send you on a wild paranoia spiral. And if you're not careful, you'll end up in the asshole of the internet that stinks with bad advice. And there, in that pile of shit, you'll see him standing out like a piece of corn that a mangy dog's body wouldn't digest even if it was starving. The alpha guy, sunglasses, sports car, tight shirt, cigar, telling you that to get her attention, you need to treat your wife like she's disposable. Act cold, be scarce, never show weakness. Get rich, get ripped. She's lucky to have you, let her feel it, make her chase, punish her with silence, and if that doesn't work, fucking replace her. And the thing that scares me most might actually work for a while. Because when you pull back hard enough, when you go cold, when you treat her like she's lucky to have you, she might respond. She might reach for you again, but not out of desire, out of fear, out of emotional survival. Now she's not having sex out of duty. She's having sex to stop the bleeding, to try and keep her family together. That's not connection. That's manipulation dressed as confidence. And deep down, you know it. You know she doesn't feel safe. She just feels out of options. And that might feel like power at first. And for a moment, your ego says, I'm back. But deep down, you know that's not power. That's not passion. That's not love. That's fear. And fear doesn't rebuild marriages. It just pauses the collapse and lets resentment set in quietly, way, way deeper than before. You didn't marry her to win a power struggle. It's not you versus her. You married her because of how you felt around her. And she married you for who you were and the man she believed you would become, the man she wanted to rise with, not follow and not carry. The beginning was easy. The end is obvious, but it's the middle that breaks most couples. But no one talks about how hard the middle part is. The space between early sex and long-term intimacy, when the spark doesn't live in the air anymore. It has to live in you as you recreate it every day from the ashes of survival. The fear of betrayal and the very stubborn fabric of I will not quit. Most couples don't talk about it. They adapt, they settle, they co-parent, they coexist. They run the house like teammates and they sleep like strangers. They don't reach anymore. And when the reaching stops, the drift begins. Some cheat, some get numb, some go cold, some quietly separate, emotionally, then physically. Very few keep going. And I'm not talking about going back, I'm talking about going forward. Most couples think when the spark dies, the only options are stay stuck in a marriage without passion or start over with someone new. But marriage isn't a loop you walk in circles, it's a mountain you climb. And when the air gets thin, when the terrain gets rough, that's not failure, it's altitude. Most couples give up right here. They build a camp halfway up and call it good enough, or they hike back down and start over with someone new. And yeah, maybe you'll be stronger at the base next time, holding hands with a stranger as you skip through the fields you've already walked with her. But you'll only be stronger and better because of the climb you did with her. And you'll still have to climb again. Still have to build trust again, still have to face these same storms, same cliffs with someone new. What the people who chose that didn't realize is this: they were just 2 or 3 turns from something extraordinary, from a kind of intimacy you can't buy, you can't fake, and you can't find anywhere else. Your marriage is the caterpillar. The stage you're in, it's the cocoon. And what you're so close to is growing wings and flying away together. It's the difference between sex and making love. That's what you're close to. And that's what passion without poison is built to help you reach. It's not a pickup course. It's not alpha tactics. It's not about becoming rich or ripped. It's not ego. It's not becoming dominant. It's about becoming undeniable. Again, not loud, not needy, just calm, clear, grounded, present, the version of you that she craves. She chose you not for who you were, but who you would become. Many guys are offended by this, but it's true. She married you when you were a boy, and what boy can protect and provide for a family? She took a gamble on you because she saw something in you, something that maybe you didn't even see. She saw the potential of what kind of man you would become. You know what she's been missing? Not words, not roses, not dinner dates. Those are good, and I hope you're doing them. But that's not what's missing. She's missing your weight. Not your size, not your big muscles, your energetic weight. The way you walk into a room and everything slows down. The way her body was naturally drawn to yours, even if you said nothing. Especially when you said nothing. You didn't lose that, you buried it. And if you're honest, you didn't just bury your presence under domestication while calling it being a nice man, being a good man. You buried it under exhaustion, under resentment, under the constant load of doing the right thing and keeping up appearances while still feeling unwanted, rejected, and alone. You buried it under work, harder, later, longer, because that's what you were taught. When something feels off, just work more. And yeah, maybe you tried being good, polite, supportive, accommodating. But don't confuse that with weakness. That was survival. And when that didn't work, you tried being quiet. You shut down. You gave her space and called it strength. But you and I both know it was just sulking, which isn't in your nature, so you stopped. You tried talking, but she's better with words. She beat you there. So you buried the words. And when you finally opened up, it didn't go how you hoped. It made it worse, not because she's cruel, but because you didn't know how to speak from fire, only from frustration. So you swallowed your words and they sit there in the top of your throat and they remind you of that little boy you once were, holding back tears while someone tells you, stop crying. Big boys don't cry. So you build that muscle so strong that every time you feel an emotion, you lock it shut, because emotion's a weakness and you don't want us to see your weakness because you're strong, but not strong enough to talk to the woman who loves you. So you stop trying. Maybe you talked to a mate and he laughed. He said something like, I'll give her a good time for you, and you laughed too, but not really. Because you saw the way he answered his phone. You saw how his face dropped when he heard his own wife's voice. You saw how he calls her the ball and chain like it's a joke. He's dying too, quietly, but he doesn't know how to say it, so he laughs with you instead. And here's the thing almost nobody will admit. Most of us men, we never had the weight. We never had that presence, the spark that pulls a woman in without trying. We dreamed of it. We saw it in the movies. We felt it, but we never felt it in our own bodies. You can't come back to something you never were, but you can become it. If you feel like you're pretending you're a man, I'll tell you a secret. Every one of us thinks we're just a little boy dressed up in daddy's clothes, hoping the world won't notice. But here's a bigger secret. You can stop performing masculinity like it's a costume and finally wear it like your own skin, because you are a man and you can choose. You can choose right now to grow into something new, something solid, something undeniable. Not because you're acting or you're performing, but because you're finally at peace with who you are. Not by dominating, not by disappearing, but by fully showing up in a way your wife, your kids, and you can finally feel. That's what passion without poison is here for. No pressure, no bravado, no need to fake anything. Just a clean, clear invitation from me to you to become the man you were always meant to be. Not the man who waits, not the man who performs, the man who is felt. And when you do this work, you really do it, everything starts to shift. Your wife starts to lean in again, not because she has to, but because she wants to. She reaches for your hand while you're driving. She kisses you in the kitchen before the school run. She looks at you with that heat again, not out of obligation, but because something inside her woke back up. And sex, it's not just back. It's better than it ever was, because it's not built on performance. It's built on trust, on polarity, on two people who've seen each other fully and still want more. That's the kind of sex no new relationship can touch, because it doesn't come from novelty. It comes from knowing each other so well you feel brand new again. But it's bigger than that even. Your kids are watching you, whether you know it or not. You are their blueprint. They see the way you hold her when she's overwhelmed. They feel the energy in the room shift when you walk in, not because you're loud, but because you're solid. They see their mum smile in a way they haven't seen in years. They feel safe because she feels safe, because you are safe. They grow up knowing what love looks like when it lasts, what strength looks like when it doesn't need to shout. And when they're older, when they fall in love, when they face their own storms, they'll carry the memory of what intimacy can truly be. Not the performance they see online, not the cold transactional version they'll be sold in every direction, but the quiet, unshakable power of two people who stayed, who reached, who chose each other over and over, long after they didn't have to. That's the antidote to porn, to detachment, to the lie that passion fades with time. Because what they witnessed wasn't chemistry, it was commitment made magnetic. It was desire built on trust. It was real. If you're not starting from zero, you've already made it further than most. And you're closer than you think. Let you and her finish this climb together.